You're listening to the Grit to Growth podcast. Real talk with real business owners and professionals who built their freedom the hard way and now want more time, money, and impact.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the show. I'm your host, Levi Te Slaa, and I'm really glad you're here with us today because I got a fantastic guest lined up. Joining me is someone who truly knows how to build, connect, and invest with vision, Andy Holst. Andy is the owner of House of Brands, and if you know him, you know he's not just a savvy businessman, he's a master connector of people and a sophisticated investor with a sharp eye for opportunity. He's someone who truly understands how to navigate the business world and build meaningful relationships along the way. Andy, welcome to the show.
Thanks, Levi.
Hey, I'd like to kick things out. I introduced you as owner of House of the Brand. House of Brands? Why don't you tell us the story behind the business and exactly what you guys do?
Sure. House of Brands was actually started in 1990, believe it or not, by its founder. My wife and I purchased, at the time, it was a different business name, but we purchased the business in 2003 and have owned it ever since. We actually did a complete rebranding and renaming of the business a few years ago, just because we wanted to more accurately encompass who we are as a company, as well as to really have a name that fits more of a national, international supplier than some mom and pop shop. And so, yeah, we are located in Yankton, South Dakota. We distribute branded merchandise across the country, into Canada as well. We service clients, a lot of B2B clients, a lot of schools, and we really take pride in high quality and what we deem as world-class white glove service. So we're not the typical, cranking out shirts in a garage sort of supplier. And
throwing the iron down on it and everything.
No.
not quite that.
Yeah.
What was the name of the business before you rebranded?
It was called Embroidery and Screenworks.
Okay.
And so as it sounds, it was very literal. And
Yep.
So the House of Brands was developed by a firm out of LA actually, and we feel like it does a very nice job of creating interest and really being way more, how do I want to say, just professional.
Well, a little more full encompassing of everything that you guys can do.
Correct.
Yeah. Because it's not just obviously clothing, right? It's full on. If you were setting up a booth, you could have posters done through you guys, right?
Yeah, essentially, I tell people we do everything that you can put a logo or a brand on, with the exception of vehicle wraps, just because that is something that we're not set up to do, and it's a whole nother dynamic that we're not into yet. We might be someday, but at this time and place, we're not.
Well, yeah, like you said, if you're trying to do the full service part of it, that would require it, because I know those wraps are pretty tricky to actually get installed on a vehicle to make them look right. So
Correct.
Yeah, I totally understand that. Well, I gotta ask, what is your guys' kind of secret sauce / edge that you have over the other branded merchandise companies?
Yeah, so I believe that we are very responsive. We know our products, and we know a lot of what clients need before they actually even understand what they need. When you've been in business as long as we have, and when you service clients across the country, you really learn what folks need. And we were doing web store portals, oh boy, a long time ago, before it was even really a thing. And it gave us an edge up on our competition. Well, now, admittedly, everybody in the industry is, creating web stores left and right. However, our web stores are very customized to our clients. And, I don't need to get into all the specifics, but we really understand different client needs and desires and help them understand, oh, do you want to do an employee rewards program? Do you want to do new hire programs? Things of that nature. The other things that we do are we just built a brand new facility in 2023, and
Okay.
we have a lot more capacity than a lot of our for sure, local competition, but even regional. Our capacity is great. We have inventory capabilities. We have fulfillment capabilities. And, at the end of the day, the product that we put out is the quality of it is as good as it possibly can be.
Yeah.
And a lot of people in our industry can have a bad name for itself as far as, interior decoration or a cheap t-shirt or whatever.
Hmm.
And we take pride in knowing the products that we can provide, and being able to talk to our clients about that is super important
Do
because
you have a do you have like a full-on sales staff that they're working with the client then?
yes,
Okay, very cool. Yeah, that I would say, yeah, it's a little, it's more involved than someone just coming in and throwing a logo on a t-shirt, right?
right.
Yeah. Making sure that the customer is actually getting what they're wanting and working with them, right? Kind
Mhm.
of going through that process.
Correct. Another
Awesome.
thing that we do, we work with clients that have multiple locations or franchise type
Mhm.
clients. So we understand what it takes to, service businesses that have multiple offices or multiple franchise locations. And the other thing that's super important in our industry is understanding clients' brand guidelines and
Okay.
adhering to those. Because if you are, let's say you're a multi-site operator and your different managers are purchasing from, 10 different vendors, your brand consistency is more than likely not going to be what you need it to be.
There's not that
So,
through line, right?
right,
You're scattered all over the place.
correct.
And you guys can help steer that ship, right? Is that
Absolutely. And the other thing is in our industry, we like to say we're the behind the scenes helpers to the HR and marketing folks. And so
okay? Yeah,
if we can make those individuals' lives easier as it relates to branded merchandise, then we've done our job and we've
very
made them
cool.
look good, and they're just a happier person, and their company is a healthier company with us helping them through branded merchandise.
That makes perfect sense. That's awesome. So, what do you got for advice for someone who wants to get better at either building strong relationships or spotting the right business opportunities?
Yeah, I think I live by a slogan in business. It's do what you say you're going to do on or ahead of schedule and charge a fair price, and you'll be wildly successful. And so there's just too many businesses out there that overpromise, underdeliver, maybe race to the bottom of the price chain to give the cheapest price, and then they go out of
Yep.
business. So that's one piece of advice. The other is I really feel that to be a successful business owner, entrepreneur, your guys' podcast, Grit to Growth, is very appropriate. When I was 20 some years old, I think I was 22, 23 when I bought this business. I was working, 12, 15-hour days, eating lunch at my desk.
Yep.
There's so many different memes out there about, an entrepreneur, business owner versus an employee. And just because you buy a business or start a business doesn't mean you're going to be successful or get rich. Um, it takes it takes a lot of grit for I'm going to guess the majority of business owners to be successful.
Yep.
And so don't get into business unless you're ready for a lot of challenges, a lot of, long hours, and it's not an easy thing to do. It's super rewarding, and it can, pay dividends in multiple ways, but it's not for everyone. And so I think
Yeah.
there's this misconception in today's society that anybody can own a business and make a ton of money and, work 5 hours a week. And that's just not reality. And
No,
so,
not if you want to be a successful one, that is.
right. And as far as relationships go, I've always been a person of, I need to, bring value to somebody else and, be a good listener and not always just be looking out for Andy or my business, but trying to
Yep.
understand them as a person and what their needs are. And with that being said, you can become a trusted friend, customer, vendor, whatever the relationship is.
Hmm.
And, if it's a win-win relationship, it's going to last. If it's a lopsided relationship, those just don't last. And people can see right through it. And so, I treat that with, employees, customers, friends, whatever. It has to be win-win.
Yeah, that's a great philosophy. I've had a couple of conversations come up in our business, and several people have referred to your name. So I have a firsthand seat to seeing how you've actually nourished those relationships and built it in a true one.
Hmm.
And it's nice hearing when people have good things to say about you when you're not around, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. And the other thing about business, a lot of folks that want to get into business, one of the first things they say is, I just can't stand employees or I can't manage people. Well, then you probably shouldn't get into business because the people, your team members, whatever terminology you use, they make or break your business.
Yep.
And so my wife and I view our staff, team members, as an extension of us, and they make this company run, and treating them like we would want to be treated, is so important. And then you don't have turnover. You have, life, hopefully, long-term fans of your company, like our
Hmm.
staff. If you interviewed any of them, they love this company. They love working here. And, you can't really just like buy that. You have to nourish that. And
Yeah,
so,
genuine.
yeah,
They're extension of you guys, right? They are if you guys aren't around and someone's dealing with them, that they are the face of they are what makes House of Brands, right?
correct.
Yeah, cool. Well, how you kind of touched on it before a little bit, saying that it's not a breeze, right? Owning a business.
Mhm.
Would you mind elaborating a little bit more on one of maybe the challenges when you were building House of Brands?
Yeah, I mean, there's a few things I've already touched on, team members and employees. It's not going to be just a cakewalk. There's going to be challenges and there's going to be individuals that, it's just not a good fit. And so, being able to deal with conflict in a healthy manner has been, a lesson that we've learned along the way. And,
Hmm.
the more time and the more reps you get in doing that, the better you get at it, or the more comfortable you get at it. And so that's been something. The other thing that, you read statistics and you don't necessarily want to believe them, but, your client turnover is just a fact of life. That I
Yep.
think the stat is like 20% maybe a year, whether it
Okay.
be, businesses go out of business, the economy gets tough, they switch vendors for whatever reason. And so just constantly nourishing your current clients as well as seeking out new clients to backfill and to hopefully, continue to grow the company. And so, as you get into times where the economy is shaky, like we're in now,
Yep.
or in the past, different industries get hit differently. And so just coaching, your sales client service team with that and, coming alongside them and sharing what's worked in the past, what hasn't. Those are all things that, those are the make companies resilient. And
Hmm.
um, I jokingly tell our manager that runs the day-to-day is like she's earned her well over her master's degree in business by essentially,
Yeah.
working in the real world. And I mean that with all sincerity. There's things that you just can't learn in a school setting, a university setting. You have to do it
Hmm.
in the quote unquote real world. And that's one of
Yeah,
just the realities of life.
for sure. There is the in theory and there's the in practice, right?
Hmm.
And yeah, definitely the business world is it throws theory out the window.
Right.
Well, that's awesome. I got another question for you. Is there any kind of daily habits or routines or a mindset that you've had that's played into your success?
I would say, um, taking care of myself physically, getting good rest, so that, you can show up,
Hmm.
and be your best every day. And whether that be at home or in the office or whatever. So just take care of yourself. And then, I've transitioned my personal life a little bit to be more of a full-time dad over the last
That's
couple of years.
awesome.
But when I was in the thick of things, you know, getting to work at the same time and, um, listening to different leaders, whether it be podcasts or, audiobooks, and just continually filling my mind with, wisdom that was positive. And I think too, another thing is you're the whole saying of you're like the people that you hang out with. And
Yeah.
so along the way, if you get, I'm going to say, involved with negative people or, not big thinker, small minded, whatever you want to call them, like you become
Yep.
that. And so being super mindful of who you're associating with, whether it be in person, listening to, um, you know, just you have to associate with people that inspire you and that you would like to be more like.
Yeah. That's
And,
great advice.
and I think now that I'm, you know, getting older, and I've been approached by a few folks that are, let's say in their late 20s or so. I actually take that as a big compliment and strive to give them some of my time because
Them
when I was in
being the
my
mentor side of it, right?
yeah, when I was in my early years, there was a few gentlemen in town that I looked up to that would have coffee with. I had to initiate it.
Yep.
But they were, they made the time in their day for me to go and talk to them. And I think that that's super rewarding to be able to be that mentor. And but back to your question of like just surrounding yourself with the right people.
Hmm.
Um, I feel like that for all facets of life.
Well, that can be a complete cheat code, right? You can, as a younger looking to be an entrepreneur, you can find out from someone who's been through it and, skip several years of mistakes, right? Just by talking to someone. Obviously, you still have your own growing pains, but someone can get you through the ones that aren't as necessary, right?
Hmm.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds like things are going great for your business. We've got a lot of people that are looking towards the future and want to know if they can create passive income to enhance or replace their current active income. What are your kind of thoughts about this? Slash, what are some things that you are doing?
Well, I think that, it's the society, everybody wants to be financially set, well off, whatever.
Mhm.
But the reality is that it's just like running a business. It takes time. And so I personally, I believe in, real estate investing, whether it be, through syndications or, different avenues. I personally I like syndications, like
Okay.
Mailbox Money does, and there's a number of different, groups that do it, but it just allows you to be 100% passive. And so
Hmm.
with that, you can continue to earn your W-2 income or your K-1 income from your businesses, and then deploy your capital into additional investments that will,
Yep.
continue to make you money, as you become a higher income earner, especially, W-2s and things, you need tax benefits. And so the syndication, multifamily, commercial, all different types of real estate, you can get your tax write-offs so that, that goes against that passive income. And so, over the last, I don't know what it's been, but, probably 6 to 8 years, I've really, spent time in this industry as far as real estate investing. I've learned a lot. Not all the investments are home runs by any means. Nobody can predict the economy, nobody can predict the
Yep.
future. But if you're investing in real estate, it's not a get rich quick thing. And, a lot of folks just automatically go to the stock market to do their investing, which is fine, um, because it is a liquid type of investment, if you will. But what are
Yep.
you going to do if the stock market's down 20%? Are you going to sell, and, take a huge hit? Um, so yeah, I think that real estate investing is a wise thing to do. But before you do it, I would certainly encourage anyone to take time and, talk to folks that have been doing it,
Yep.
interview, different syndicators, interview different developers to understand how they structure their deals. And yeah, just be patient, and then know too that it's not a get rich quick. It's a
Yeah.
long, steady Eddie. But at
It's
the end of the day, your original question was, replacing your income. Well, if you deploy enough capital throughout time, that's why the mailbox money term it's like pretty legit. Like,
yeah. Yep.
you will get quarterly distributions or biannual distributions from your investments, which then can supplement or replace your income. And then all of a sudden you can choose if you have to go to work or if you want to go
Yep.
to work. And
It's
so,
having that freedom, right?
yeah.
That's kind of what it's all about. There's nothing wrong with it's actually great to be working, but when you have the choice, it's a lot better.
Hmm.
Yeah, I kind of equate it to the investing. It's kind of like the tree thing, right? The best time was to do it was 20 years ago. The next best time is today, right?
Yep.
And just planting those seeds.
Yep.
Yeah. Well, um, I wanted to ask you one more question here. Is there anything real exciting that you got coming on in the next 6 to 12 months, whether that be through investing or through the business?
Well, I think, with the investing world, um, right next to House of Brands in Yankton, we're getting ready to open up our first reserve apartment building. I partnered with the Mailbox Money Group to build that. And it's just been a great project. We have 70 apartment units that are going to come online for sure by this fall. And, that to me was an exciting and is an exciting project because I took the initiative. My wife and I owned the land, so it was kind of natural for us to get involved. But
Mm-hmm.
the even more rewarding thing was working with friends and investors in the region or even in the direct Yankton community to raise investor capital. And, it gave a lot of people a first time opportunity to become a passive investor.
Yep.
And it's just been really fun to see the enthusiasm and excitement from those people talking about the project. And it is a hidden benefit, especially in a smaller community, to get local people to invest because then they're your spokespeople. Like, my grandchild needs an apartment, my neighbor,
Hmm.
whoever, and they're your best advocate for marketing the property.
That's kind of the cool, you touched on it about investing in stocks. You can't pull up, drive down the street and show someone the stock you own, right? Where a physical building, it's something you can be proud of and show off to people. I found, yeah, a lot of people do enjoy that part of it.
Yeah, and real estate will never go to zero either. I mean,
Yeah.
that's truth. There's no denying that. So, but anyway, the Blue Stem Apartments are been an exciting thing for myself over the last, 12 to so months and moving forward. Um, Predicting the occupancy will ramp up as we expect. Then we'll go into phase two to build another, 42 units across the street. So I'll be, involved in that as well, which I thoroughly enjoy doing.
Yeah.
So that's fun. And then at House of Brands, we're constantly seeking out new clients, and we're, having a good track record with picking up national accounts from across the entire country. I really feel like we're, on the cusp of, you know, gaining significant traction in certain industries. And so that's fun too. The most rewarding part about it is, as a business owner, I'm seeing our staff, like people, taking a real personal interest and, responsibility on making the company as healthy and profitable as it can be. And so that's my excitement on a personal front. My wife and I have 3 kids, under the age of 2. And so we're just
Yeah.
super
That's an
excited.
undertaking.
Yeah, it's a great time in our lives, and I'm very thankful to be able to be involved in that on a daily basis for the majority of my time. So that's an exciting part of our life.
I would say that's probably the most exciting you got. That's awesome to hear. It's a really cool thing that you're able to raise 3 young ones.
Hmm.
Well, Andy, this has been really awesome. Before we wrap up here, I'd love for you to let people know where they can find you, learn more about House of Brands, or if they just want to get in touch with you and connect.
Yeah, you can find us on the internet. It's House of Brands with an S.us. We're on all social medias. You can connect with me right off the website. My email is andy@houseofbrands.us. I'm on LinkedIn, Facebook as well. If you're at all interested in visiting about what House of Brands does as a potential client, if you're interested in investing in real estate and want to hear my further, experiences, feel free to reach out. I'm happy to help.
That's awesome. Well, thanks again, Andy, and we'll be talking to you later.
All right. Thanks, Levi.
Thanks.
Know someone with serious grit and a great growth story? Send them our way at grittogrowthpodcast.com/guest.